Hi Disnerds, I'm Drew, and in this video I'm going to talk about 7 things that you absolutely, positively, definitely need to know if you are planning a Walt Disney World vacation for the very first time. Oh, and those of you who are thinking, I've been to Disney before, maybe you should watch too, because if you haven't been in the last year or so, there's gonna be some tips in here that are gonna help you out a lot. And be sure to stick around to the end of the video because I think you might be kind of surprised by our #1 recommendation. And if you're enjoying this video, it would be awesome if you would strike that like. Number 7, wake up early. I'm sorry, Walt Disney vacations are wake up early kinds of vacations. I know most people are not super psyched about waking up early in the morning, but it's really important. You just gotta do it. If you're planning on using Genie Plus to plan your park day, you have to be up by 7 a.m. to make your reservations. And ideally, you would be at the park an hour before the stated opening time. There are various reasons for this, and one of them is that they tend to let guests through the turnstiles before the actual opening time. Guests can come into some of the parks, and then cast members hold them at certain locations for the official opening time, and then you can go into the different lands of the different parks. But if you see an 8 a.m. opening time for Magic Kingdom and you're planning on showing up at the Magic Kingdom at 8 a.m., you're going to be late. Going to the theme parks first thing in the morning come with several advantages. One of them is that rides in general tend not to be as busy because the first thing in the morning is one of the least crowded times at any park. So even without a ride reservation, there's a pretty strong chance that you'd be able to walk straight into the park, go straight to the line for your favorite attraction, and not have to wait for very long. As a general rule, Walt Disney World theme parks get really busy in the afternoons. The late afternoons tend to be the most crowded times at parks. And so what I do, and what I recommend that you consider, is just leave in the afternoon. Or if you're gonna stay inside the parks, find something quiet and low-key to do for a few hours during the busiest times of the day. If you're willing to stay all the way until park closing, the parks do tend to thin out a little bit late at night, but it's nothing compared to the mornings. So if you can, wake up as early as you can to take advantage of the slowest time at all of the theme parks. Number 6, plan your face-off. Walt Disney World vacations require quite a bit of planning. Unfortunately, the days where you could just show up at a park and kind of fly by the seat of your pants and have a fun day are long gone. These days, you gotta get on the website or get into the official Walt Disney World app and start making your plans as far in advance as possible. Are you planning to eat inside the parks? Well, Disney Dining allows you to make reservations 60 days in advance, and I would highly recommend that you do that, especially for some of the more popular restaurants. And remember that you can always cancel a dining reservation after you've made it. So if you're thinking about going to a specific restaurant, go ahead and make the reservation, and then if you change your mind later, you always can. There are a lot of guests, myself included, who really love staying inside the Disney bubble. That's staying at a Disney resort, taking Disney transportation to and from parks, and basically living the Disney experience the entire time that you're there. But there's a lot of fun things to do in Orlando that are outside the Disney bubble. So I would recommend looking around Orlando for some other fun things to do. If the idea of spending all of your vacation time at crowded theme parks sounds not the best thing in the world, then look for some of the other fun tourist things to do in Orlando. And finally, here's a big one. I would strongly recommend building in time to do nothing for yourself and for your family. When you're on the vacation itself, looking at your schedule and saying, oh, yeah, we have 2 hours to just relax this afternoon, can be a really nice break from the chaos. A good time to build in these breaks is the afternoons when the Disney theme parks are just absolutely crushed. And in the summertime, the late afternoon is usually the hottest part of the day. So why not take a break in the afternoon? Go find some shade. Heck, even leave the park for a couple of hours and then come back. You'll be rested, you'll be refreshed. I definitely recommend building in a little time to do nothing. Number 5, bring your own food. I know. A lot of people go on Disney World vacations just because of the food. And I know how delicious Disney World food is. But it's really, really expensive. And depending on when you choose to eat, it can be really inconvenient. Consider being at a theme park on a very busy day of the year in the summertime and lunchtime rolls around. Well, just about everybody in that theme park is going to be hungry for lunch at the same time. So even if you're using your app to order food in advance and do mobile order pickup, which generally is the fastest way to order food, not always, but often, what if you just skipped that entirely and went into your backpack and pulled out some snacks that you had packed yourself early in the day? All of the Walt Disney World resorts now offer grocery delivery from Garden Grocer and also from Whole Foods through Amazon Prime. I know. Whole Foods is really expensive. There's a reason that they call it whole paycheck. But you know what else is really expensive? Eating at Disney dining locations. So in my experience, ordering my food from Whole Foods and skipping Disney dining is a huge cost savings for me. Also, I have really severe food allergies, and so I don't really have the option to be eating at restaurants anyway. If you are also a food allergy sufferer or have food sensitivities, know that most Disney resort hotels have drink coolers. They're not exactly fridges, so I don't know if I would be storing like raw chicken in there, but for things like sandwiches and drinks, they're perfectly adequate. Other resorts sometimes include a microwave, but definitely check in advance because not all of them do. And there are certain resorts that have full kitchens, full fridges, ovens, stoves, things like that. And so ordering your own food allows you to prepare all of your own meals. Huge cost savings, and if you're an allergy sufferer like me, it's a lot of peace of mind. You can control what you're eating and not worry about getting sick. Consider the cost of the Disney Dining Plan, which is not currently available but is coming back very soon. It costs $55 a day, and this is supposed to be like the cheap way to eat at Disney. If you're going with a whole family, those Disney dining costs add up fast. Whereas if you were to order your own food from a grocery store and have it delivered, it would be a huge savings by comparison. Number 4, consider character dining. Do you have kids in your party that are obsessed with meeting the Disney characters? Well, let me tell you something. Meeting and greeting Disney characters in the theme parks is lots of fun, but it can also be lots and lots of waiting. The most popular characters have the longest lines. And if you've paid good money for theme park tickets that day, and you're finding yourself standing in character meet and greet lines for hours on end, well, maybe consider character dining instead. Character dining can be a little bit pricey, yes, but in my opinion, it's completely worth it. Characters come directly to your table. There are personal one-on-one experiences. You get to spend time with the characters. You're seated, you're spending a whole meal inside of a restaurant with characters moving around you, coming to see you. There are fun games and activities often. I think this is really the way to do it. One very popular spot for character dining is Cinderella's Royal Table, which costs about $65 for adults. So yes, it's gonna cost some money, but it's also going to save you so much time. And at Walt Disney World, time is definitely money. So consider the possibility of doing character dining and spending a little money there to save yourself a lot of time while you're in the parks. Number 3, do the transportation math. Don't assume that it's going to be easy to get from where you're staying to where you want to go. There are multiple Disney World travel options, but figure out which ones are available to you at your resort before you go on vacation. For example, let's say that your resort is only served by resort buses. Well, resort buses can be kind of unreliable, and lately they've been like really unreliable. Hopefully the reliability will come back, but for now you might want to consider a different option for getting to and from your hotel resort. Walt Disney World has buses, they have boats, they have the Skyliner, and all of them are included in the cost of your Disney World vacation, which is really nice. But all of those methods of transportation add significant time into your day. You have to plan for the time it takes to get to and from. So maybe consider getting an Uber. I know it's an extra cost on top of everything else, but again, time is money at Walt Disney World, and rideshare is the fastest way to get to and from the resorts in my experience. Depending on where you're staying, you could be looking at anywhere from $20 to $40 per rideshare ride for each way to and then again from the theme parks. So those rideshare costs really can add up pretty fast, especially if you're doing a multi-day vacation. But I would rather budget in some vacation funds to take rideshare that will get me there quickly so that I can start having fun and checking things off of my to-do fun list. And look, here's where rideshare comes in really handy, is at the end of the day. When you're tired and your kids are cranky, you're cranky too because you're tired. You woke up at 6:30 a.m. for heaven's sake. You don't want to wait 30 or 40 minutes in a long line for a bus to come pick you up. Or maybe you do, maybe that's your thing. And if that is your thing, more power to you because you're gonna love Disney bus transportation. But I don't really love that so much. And at the end of the day, when I'm just like totally zapped, calling an Uber on my phone, waiting just a few minutes, hopping in and heading back to my resort is definitely worth what it costs to do that. Number 2, consider skipping the parks entirely. Yeah, I know, we're getting into some hot take territory here, but have you thought about taking a Disney vacation and not going to the Disney theme parks at all? I know it sounds kind of nuts to a lot of people, but the Disney resorts are incredible. If you never stepped foot inside of a Disney theme park and instead spent your entire vacation taking advantage of everything that your resort had to offer, I think you would still have a really fun vacation. And the reason that I think that is that I've done it lots of times. When I travel to Florida, I don't always go to Disney theme parks. Sometimes I like to just go to the resorts, walk up to the day's activities, and let that be my plan for the day. Your resort has tons of stuff going on. There's parties by the pool, there's trivia, there's tie-dyeing. A lot of the resorts have s'mores. They do fire pits at night. Most of them show movies. And if you're thinking that you want to go out and have a Disney resort adventure, well, go resort hopping then. Make yourself a lunch reservation at a different resort and head over there. Yes, the Disney parks are really, really cool, and I love them. But almost as much, I love the Disney resorts. I'll never tire of exploring what's going on with the resorts. And there's so many of them, and each of them does special things just specific to that resort. And they're always changing and turning over and doing new things. So as far as I'm concerned, you'd never run out of things to do if you were just in Orlando at Disney World just for the resorts. Spend some time at the pool. Get a cocktail at the bar. Talk to the front desk about your resort scavenger hunt. There probably is one. Build it into your vacation. Let the Disney resortness wash over you. And my number 1 tip for first-timers going to Walt Disney World, maybe don't go. I'm serious though. Maybe don't go on a Disney vacation. Maybe a Disney vacation is not right for you. Have you been listening to this list thinking to yourself, this sounds awful? Waking up really early in the morning, planning every detail of my day, wading through thick crowds, waiting in lines, and being totally exhausted at the end of the day, only to wake up early the next morning and do it all again. Does this sound like a nightmare scenario to you? Well, then don't go. For heaven's sakes, don't take a Disney vacation if taking a Disney vacation is going to make you miserable. I know that the world and our friends and all of the commercials and the movies, they all want us to go to Disney World. They're enticing us. They are dangling it in front of us saying, "You love Disney World, don't you? Come to Vacation Land." But look, Disney vacations are not for everybody. Definitely not for everybody. Are you thinking to yourself, well, I could take like a beach vacation maybe, or maybe we'll do a Disney trip, I'm not sure. Because they're totally not the same thing. Completely different types of vacations. So just know what you're getting into in advance. I love Disney and I love talking about Disney, and I have so much fun every single time I go. But it always bums me out when I hear somebody tell me a story about their Disney vacation and how terrible it was. And usually it goes something like this. I say, "Oh, that's awful. Why was it so terrible?" And they say something like, "Well, you know, we got there and we just kind of figured that we would go and we would see what there was to do. And it was just like a bunch of standing in lines, and there were these huge crowds everywhere, and we ended up not getting much done, and it was hot and we were on our feet, and by the end of the day we were tired and the buses were crowded. It just really wasn't very good for us at all." And I gotta say, this is gonna be your vacation if you just fly by the seat of your pants. Disney World vacations are not the types that you can just like jump into and hope that it's gonna work out. There are a lot of planning resources at your disposal for a Disney vacation, and in my opinion, if you don't take advantage of them, it's not really worth doing the Disney vacation. I think you're probably gonna have a bad time. Then again, if you are the type of person that literally does not care, like let's say your whole family's going on vacation and they've invited you along and you think, why not? I'm not really a Disney person, but I like being with these people. As long as you're cool with all of the things that I've described on this list, those things don't bother you, then no, you don't have to plan every last little detail. But know that you're just not gonna get as much out of the Disney vacation as the person who did spend a lot of time planning. Okay, so there you go, my 7 tips for first-timers or people who have not been back in a while. Disney World is a different place now than it used to be, so definitely be prepared. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, thumb, sub, bell. I'm Drew. Farewell.